Hello, this is Christina with the Stage Nature Center, coming to you live here at the Nature Center. I'm going to give it just a minute for people to have a chance to check in. All right. I see some people are joining in with us. Hi, this is Christina with the Stage Nature Center. Hope you all can hear me okay and see me. Hello. Let's see here. All right. So hope everybody's doing well today. Thank you for joining us again. Good afternoon, hello. So again, if you're just now joining us, this is Christina with the Stage Nature Center, and I am here, I'm a naturalist here, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about and give you the opportunity to meet our ambassador, Leopard Frog. You'll get to meet him here in just a few minutes. He's definitely anxious, and I think he's probably hungry too. So we'll try to feed him today as well. You might hear him hopping around in his tank over there. So I see that some people are joining us. Feel free to put comments or questions. I'm going to try to keep track of those comments and questions. If for some reason I'm not able to see the questions and comments, because that happens sometimes where the comments disappear, then I will definitely answer your questions after this live stream is over. So I hope everybody's doing well. I am here here at the Nature Center today in Troy, Michigan, to take care of the animals and also take this opportunity to give you guys a chance to meet one of our animals. We have been introducing some of our ambassador animals here at the Nature Center as part of these Facebook Live programs. So I'm excited to get to introduce the leopard frog today, and we have a naming fundraiser today for our male leopard frog because we need a name for him. So before we get into that, just a few things. As you all probably know, the building is closed right now. We are going to remain closed through the end of May at this time, with a reopening date of June 2nd. And that, of course, depends on everything that's going on and the status of things. But as of right now, we have a tentative reopening date of June 2nd. The trails are open though, dawn to dusk, and today's a beautiful day to come walk the trails. So if you have a chance to do that today, I think that would be today would be a great day to do that, or another day. Just, of course, please practice social distancing. Make sure you give other people enough of a chance to get themselves farther away from you when you're passing each other. Even if you're not concerned for yourself too much, just make sure that you're doing it for others as well. We want everybody to be safe and healthy and be respectful of that distance during these times right now. So otherwise, right now is a great time to come and explore the trails. It's spring, so there's a lot of different things happening on the trails. A lot of different flowers popping up that I shared with you last week, and different birds singing, so it's a wonderful time to get out on the trails. Right now, as I've mentioned before, we're not doing our regular public programs or any programs, and we had to cancel all of those due to the social distancing and stay home orders and to be safe for the public. So as many of you may know, I work for the Troy Nature Society. We are a nonprofit that manages the Stage Nature Center, and we do all of our programs. And one of the main ways that we're able to do what we do is through program fees when people come to attend our programs, which right now we're not able to do. That's why I'm excited that I get to do these Facebook Live programs for you, at least in the meantime. But if you have it in your means to donate, you can donate through this post today. You can hit the donate button And I'll explain the naming fundraiser in just a minute, or you can donate on our website. Thank you to everyone who has donated so far, anytime actually, but as part of these Facebook programs or just to help us out during these difficult times. We really appreciate it. So that is something you can do to continue to support us, help us make sure that we can continue to take care of the animals that live here, and to help us make sure that we can reopen coming strong and doing more programs for you guys when things are a little bit more back to normal. So again, today we're going to meet our ambassador, Leopard Frog. And over the past few weeks, you've met some different types of amphibians that we have here. You've met our gray tree frogs. We have 2 of them. You've met our American toad. And the last amphibian that you met here was our green frog. And we did a naming fundraiser for our green frog, and his name is now Zaba, which means frog in Polish. So we'll be doing our naming fundraiser for the leopard frog now. We're going to do it a little bit differently this time. So for the leopard frog, we're going to do this as kind of like a raffle. This is an idea given to us by one of our volunteers, and we thought it'd be a fun idea. So what you're going to do is, and I apologize, I'm looking at the directions to make sure I get it all right. So what you're going to do is you're going to, for every $10 donation that you make starting now or part of this post through this coming Thursday, every $10 donation you make, your name will be placed into the raffle for a chance to name our resident male leopard frog. So you place your minimum $10 donation on our Facebook page beginning today. You can do it during this live Facebook post. If you want to, you can purchase 2 raffle chances for $20. You can purchase 3 raffle chances for $30, which means that your name would go in the pot 3 times and give you a higher chance of naming the frog. The raffle purchases will end promptly this coming Thursday at 12 p.m. on this Thursday, May 14th. And then on this Friday, when I do the next live Facebook program at 1 p.m., you can watch that, and I will pull the name of the winner for the raffle. And that name will be drawn. And then if that winner is joining us on Friday, they can provide the name that they would like to choose for the male leopard frog in the comments if they're able to join us live, or they can submit the name later if they're not able to join us live during the Friday program. And of course, we reserve the right to approve the suggested name. We have to make sure that it's something appropriate from the winning donor. So that's how we're going to do this naming fundraiser for the leopard frog. So we'll see how that goes. Good luck to those of you who are going to participate. And we'll find out at the end of this week what the new name for our leopard frog will be. So that's our naming fundraiser. Okay, so before I bring the leopard frog out, he's a little bit wiggly. I know you guys met the green frog before, and this one is even a little more difficult to handle. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our leopard frog. Maybe I'll give you a quick peek, see if he'll let me hold him. He's really jumpy. And then I'll put him back. Give me just a second here. I got to make sure he doesn't get loose. Okay. I know, buddy. Oh, he's making a sound. All right. So here is our leopard frog. He is a little bit smaller than our green frog, actually quite a bit smaller. And he's more of a brownish color than a green color. Leopard frogs can be both green or brownish. They tend to be more greenish, but they can be brown too. So this is our leopard frog. Like I said, he's more of a greenish color. Let me see if I can show you those feet there. There's those feet. So, like I said, he's not quite as big as our green frog. And you can see here on the back, oops, sorry, buddy. He's making some sounds here. He's got these spots on his back, which help with identification of the leopard frog. All right, I'm going to put him back here for a little bit, and then I'll bring him back out in just a minute. But that way I can show you some other things, and he can take a break from me holding him. All right. He's actually making quite a few noises today. It could be because this is their breeding season right now, and they can sense that change outside of the seasons, and so he has talked a little bit lately, and that might be why he's being a little bit more talkative today. So this leopard frog has been with us since 2017. He came to us in May of 2017, and he came to us because there was a school that had him to grow him from a tadpole. They purchased him online from a website called naturegifts.com, and they purchased him online so that way they could be part of the life cycle. They could be part of that process and see how they grow. Once he became an adult, they felt like they needed a better home for him, that they couldn't take care of him. He needed more space. So they contacted us, and at the time, we had space for a leopard frog. We had space for another animal. Right now, we are at capacity for our animals, but we did have space to bring him on. So we brought him, and he was actually brought him here to the Nature Center, and he was quite a bit smaller when he came here to the Nature Center. He had just turned from a tadpole, had just lost that tail and grew his legs. So he was quite a bit smaller, and that was in 2017. So he's been with us since May of 2017. So he's about 3 years old. Like I said, they got him as a tadpole. Now the situation with our leopard frog is that we don't know for sure if he is a southern leopard frog or a northern leopard frog. There are two species that are found in this part of the United States, the southern and the northern, and they look very similar, but their ranges, they only overlap just a little bit. Let me show you here. I have a map of their ranges. So this is the range for the southern leopard frog. I apologize that the text is backward. Unfortunately, my iPad is not giving me the option to turn it around, but you can ignore the text. Just look at the map, which is, I know, like I said, kind of backwards, but the southern leopard frog is mostly in this region right here. And of course, Michigan is up here. So this is the southern leopard frog, and then the northern leopard frog is this one. So here we are, Michigan. So you can see that the two are actually very close to each other. Let me see if I can hold them both up at the same time here. So the two ranges are very close to each other, and in some areas, like in Indiana, it is possible to see both species, although it's pretty rare. So they can overlap. Now the company, the naturegifts.com, we contacted them when we got the leopard frog to see if they happened to know which species they had, and they said that they sell both species, but that the southern leopard frog at the time was the one that they were selling more of, that they had those they had those more in stock. So we believe we might have a southern leopard frog, although they look very similar. It's very hard to tell the difference. Northern leopard frogs tend to be a little bit more green than the southern leopard frogs, but the northern leopard frog can be a brownish color as well. So I'm going to show you a picture here. This picture that you're seeing are of leopard frogs, and this is showing you the two kind of variations that you can see. So leopard frogs can be a brownish color, kind of like our leopard frog with some green on it, but they can also be, they're more commonly more of a green color with a little bit of brown, but they can be both. So you see variations of it. So it's kind of hard to know for sure which one we have. So it's very possible that we have a southern leopard frog, but they're very similar in species, but they have different ranges. So today we're going to talk mostly about the northern leopard frog because that's what we have here in Michigan. Now, we've talked before about how frogs are amphibians, which means that they are born in the water, and they typically lay unshelled eggs, and they lay unshelled eggs either in moist places or in the water. And then they go through a metamorphosis. They change, their body changes as they get older, and then they can either live on land or in water, depending on the species. So they have a gilled larval stage that changes into a lung-breathing adult. So let me show you something here. I know I've shown you a couple different things before about the the stages of a frog. This is a display that we have. These are real, they're not alive. This was purchased from a science company that provides things like this so people can teach about these kind of things. And this shows the life cycle of, actually this is a type of frog called a grass frog, but it's very similar to our leopard frog here. So they start off as eggs, you can see right there. Now when leopard frogs, let me show you this, lay their eggs, I have another picture here to show you. They lay their eggs in these masses, like the green frog, in these masses of jelly-like clumps that are kind of floating in the water. Sometimes they are attached to something like a branch that's in the water, but each one of these spots is a separate egg, but it's jelly-like. So again, like I mentioned, they're unshelled, so they're very soft, very jelly-like, and this is what their eggs look like. Bring it just a little bit closer here. So they're really kind of neat, and that's what their eggs look like. So then when they hatch, let me show this to you again. They have a gilled larval stage. So this is the tadpole. And so that way they can breathe in the water, because when they hatch, they're only in the water. And then as they grow, they start to grow legs. So you can see here. The tail eventually is absorbed by the body, and then they turn into an adult frog, like you can see here. Now they still are able to swim even without that tail, because like I tried to show you with our leopard frog, they have webbed feet that help them for swimming. So leopard frogs do spend their time mostly in the water, but they do sometimes spend time on land as well, so they are able to hop around. So so that's their life cycle. That's the change that they go through. We have 13 species of frogs and toads in Michigan. I know I've shown you this before, but for those of you just joining us today, I'll show you again. Here is a poster showing these different species. And so we have 11 frogs and 2 toads here in Michigan. And the leopard frog is, let's see, I'm trying to look at this backward. Right there, this is the leopard frog. There is another species that we have here in Michigan that can look very similar to the leopard frog, and that's called the pickerel frog. Let me show you a picture of that one. And again, I apologize, the words are going to be backward because the iPad's not letting me switch it, but this is a leopard frog, and this is the pickerel frog. So you can kind of see the difference here. The pickerel frog typically has more angular spots that are paired in rows between the dorsolateral folds that you can see here. That's these 2 ridges on the back. And they typically have more bright yellow or an orange groin and inner thighs, like you can see down here. Whereas the leopard frog has more rounded spots between those dorsolateral ridges, and they're more of a tannish color underneath. So that's how you can tell the difference between a pickerel frog and a leopard frog. The leopard frog is probably, I would say, more common. The pickerel frog is a species that we don't see as many of here in Michigan anymore, unfortunately. The pickerel frog is a species of special concern. So you're more likely to see the leopard frog, although the leopard frog in some areas isn't as common anymore either. They can be locally abundant, but in some areas we don't see them as much anymore. So anyways, that's the difference between the pickerel frog and the leopard frog. Now, we think our leopard frog is a male, and we know this mainly because we have heard him sing. Typically the males are the ones that sing and the females don't. The males also have larger thumb pads on their feet, and that helps them with breeding when they're breeding with the females. So that's another way you can tell the difference between a male and a female. Before I bring him out, let me play the call for you. So I'm bringing up, I've shown you guys this before, but I'm bringing up, doesn't show it very well because of the lighting. I have a whole bunch of different apps on my phone where like field guides instead of books. This app that I'm bringing up is Audubon guides for amphibians, for frogs and toads, and you can play their calls on here. So let me bring that up here so you can hear it. Okay. So that's what their calls sound like. It's kind of like a low rumbling sound with some hoarse croaks that they have in between there, and that's what they sound like. And here in Michigan, in this part of Michigan, you're going to hear them calling through the middle of May. So you can start hearing them from the beginning of April to mid-May. We have heard them here at the Stage Nature Center from time to time. So it's definitely possible to hear them around here in this area. So that's kind of what their call sounds like. Now the female and the male will both produce kind of like a vibrating release call when they're breeding, when the male is attached to the female for breeding. But the one that really does the call is the male. So I think what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna turn it around here so you can watch him feed. He's jumping around a lot, and I think he is anxious to either eat or go back to his home. So I'm going to put some crickets in his container here, into our leopard frog's container, and then I'll continue to tell you a little bit more about the leopard frog as we're watching him eat. So give me just a minute, and behind me, although you can't see the whole thing, behind me is actually his tank, which we'll see here more of in just a minute. So give me just a moment and I will be right back. I'm gonna put some crickets in with him so we can watch him eat. Trying to make some space here. Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see him. Let's see here. There he is. Okay, so I've put a couple of crickets in the tank here. Hopefully he'll eat for us. Today is their day that they normally eat. So you can see there's a couple of crickets in the back of the tank here. Here's our leopard frog. I'm going to try to hold the camera steady here so it's not too shaky. We'll give him just a minute to see if he finds those crickets, and if he doesn't, then I'll see if I can help him find them by moving the crickets towards him in the tank here. So since we're waiting to watch him eat, let me tell you a little bit about what he typically eats. As you can see here, there are crickets in here. So leopard frogs, they do eat insects. They eat a lot of different kinds of insects. They'll eat other invertebrates as well. So insects are invertebrates, which means they don't have a backbone, and then things like worms are invertebrates. So they'll eat worms. They might eat things like snails out in the wild. Sometimes they also eat small frogs. So other smaller frogs than them, although he's not a very big leopard frog. And then occasionally they'll eat small birds and snakes. So again, they can be kind of ferocious. And I think I mentioned before we have a green frog, and the green frog is a frog that might eat a leopard frog, for example. Or if a leopard frog is an adult and there's a small green frog in there with it, it might eat the small green frog. before it gets too big. So they do eat, they can eat other frogs. Let me see if I can get these crickets to move towards him. Let's see here. Oops. Oh, and it landed on his head. He doesn't really seem to care too much right now. Let's see if I can get the other cricket to go over here. Our leopard frog is a little more shy from our green frog. And leopard frogs, they are used to getting away pretty quickly from predators. They're very fast. As you may have noticed that he moves around very quickly in there, but he's a little faster than our green frog, and he isn't quite as comfortable being handled as our green frog, the last frog that you met. So we'll see if he is going to eat for us today. He might just be too uncomfortable with me talking, and he might need to be put into a quiet space. Usually when we feed him, we put him in a little tank like this, a little container with his crickets, and then we put him in a quiet space back behind the area where their tanks are, and we just give him time to eat. Looks like he's going to let this cricket hang out on his head here. So something kind of cool about leopard frogs is that some of them have a genetic mutation where they have no spots. Which is pretty rare for a leopard frog. That's one of the reasons why they call them leopard frogs, because of those spots. And these genetic mutations, these leopard frogs that have these genetic mutations, are called Burnside morphs. Are you going to eat that cricket? Or are we just going to hop around? As you can see here, our leopard frog is not one of these. Morphs. He doesn't have that genetic mutation. He's got those spots on him. So leopard frogs, they actually have a pretty long life. For when you think of a frog or an amphibian, they can live to be about 5 to 8 years old. And we think this is about as big as our leopard frog's going to be. Like I mentioned earlier, our leopard frog is about 3 years old, because he was a tadpole, or had just turned from a tadpole to an adult when we got him in April of 2017. So he's about 3 years old, and he stopped growing a while ago. So I think this is as big as our frog is going to get. He's definitely an adult now. Now where you're going to see them is areas like wet meadows. They also like grassy ponds, lake edges, and forests. And like I mentioned earlier, they are kind of uncommon or rare in many areas, but they can be locally abundant in habitat that's suitable for them. Now, like a lot of other amphibians, they have that skin that is easily penetrable, so they are great indicators of the environment, because anything that changes in the environment, if there's chemicals, toxins, and things like that that are introduced into the environment, pesticides, poisons, then typically amphibians are one of the first things to start having issues. They're one of the first animals to start dying off, because they take in those toxins so easily through their skin. It's also why it's important when you're handling a lot of amphibians that your hands stay moist, because their skin needs to stay moist for them to stay healthy and survive. They can be both active during the day and at night, although they're usually more active at night. Sometimes, a lot of times actually, they feed on land, which is why we don't feed him in the water, because he prefers to feed on in dry areas. Are you not interested in the crickets? I'm going to see if I can put the crickets back up. No. He may be a little too worked up here to feed for us. You can see, I don't know if you guys remember the green frog, if you saw that other post. If you didn't, you can go onto our website and see the green frog video. But the green frog actually has a little bit more of a rounded snout compared to our leopard frog here. Yes, they do have long legs. I see that somebody mentioned their long legs. Let me show you something here. Oops, I'm sorry, buddy. So this is a frog skeleton, and frogs do have very long, especially back legs. Toads' legs are not typically as long, but toads can still jump, where frogs are meant to make leaps, very long leaps. So they do have really long legs, and as you can see here in this skeleton. All right, what I think I'm gonna do, because he seems like he is a little too worked up for eating the crickets right now, is I'm going to put him back in his tank, and we can see him when he goes back in his tank here. So give me just a moment. And what I'm gonna do, let's see. Camera around here and adjust it so you can see his tank. So when I put him back in, you can see him. Let's see. Sorry, this is going to get a little jerky here for just a moment. Okay. Oops. I'm sorry, give me one moment trying to... Okay, so I'm gonna go put him back in his tank. Alright, I'm gonna flip the camera around here so we can see him. Sorry about the camera moving around a lot right now. Just trying to readjust. Hold on one moment here. Okay. So I'll try feeding him again here in just a little bit when he's had a chance to calm down from all the excitement. You can see him breathing pretty fast there. But I don't think, unfortunately, he's not going to eat for us on camera. But if you want to see a frog eating, you can go back to our live Facebook post from the green frog, and that is on our Facebook page as well as on our website too. And you can see what it looks like when a frog eats. But again, like I said, I think he's a little too worked up for that. So I've told you a lot about these frogs, and I want to talk a little bit about what we can do to help them and how important they are to us. They do eat a lot of insects, so they're an important part of the food chain. So we do want them to be around. Some people are a little freaked out by frogs. I know some people have said, no, they're not going to watch these posts because they're a little scared of them, which is completely fine, as long as we still respect them. They're a very important part of the environment, and like I mentioned earlier, they are great environmental indicators because of how sensitive they are to changes in the environment, so we want to keep them around. I have mentioned this before, but one of the things you can do to help these guys is you can volunteer for spring frog and toad surveys, where you go out, you learn their different calls, and you go out and you listen for their calls, and you identify them, and you record those calls and the date and time and where you saw them, and you can report these records back to different organizations. For example, Friends of the Rouge does this, and the DNR also does frog and toad surveys. You can also report their sightings to MichiganHerpAtlas.org. There's actually a lot of different types of reptiles and amphibians that you can report on there to help track their populations and to measure changes or trends in their populations. So those are some things you can do to participate in citizen science. Also, it's important to know about state and federal laws that protect them. I think I mentioned earlier, but that there are 3 species that are currently listed as threatened or species of special concern here in Michigan, and that's the pickerel frog, which I talked about earlier, the Blanchard's cricket frog, and the Fowler's toad. But really, a lot of our amphibians are sensitive and having trouble right now because of how, again, like I said, how sensitive they are to changes in the environment. Something else you can do is plant fragrant night blooming plants that attracts moth pollinators, since they like to eat things like moths. You can also maintain compost piles and rock piles that make ideal shelters for amphibians like frogs and toads and even salamanders. It's also important try not to use pesticide and fertilizer on your property. Like I said, they have very sensitive skin, and using poisons, toxins like that, can make them very sick and can make it very hard for their populations to thrive. And if you have a non-native frog or toad, or if you bring in a frog or toad as a pet, which we don't recommend that you go out into the wild to get one as a pet, but if you have something like that, don't release them back out into the wild, because then whatever they had in captivity, they can release to wild, or they can introduce to wild populations. And then we don't want non-native species taking over and making it hard for native species to survive. Like I said earlier, this guy, we don't know for sure if he's a southern leopard frog or a northern leopard frog, which would be one reason why it's important not to release him into the wild. You can purchase them from places online like naturegifts.com, so you can watch them grow. And if you do something like that, make sure you can either take care of them yourself, or you have somebody else who can take care of them after they grow up. So that way you're not trying to release them out into the wild. I think he is exhausted because he is not moving from that spot. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to see the comments or questions come in, so I don't know if you guys have been asking any questions because I don't see them popping up here on the screen. If you did ask questions, I will definitely try to do my best to answer them after this live post has ended. And again, please feel free to share your comments. I see that one person has donated for the Stage Nature Center, so their name will be added into the raffle for naming this leopard frog. So again, if you donate anytime between now and Thursday at noon, if you donate here on Facebook, a minimum of $10 is for one chance to be put in the raffle. If you donate 20, that's 2 chances, $30, 3 chances, and so forth. Then your names will go into the raffle to name this leopard frog. And then on Friday at 1, I will pull the name from the batch of names that we have to see who the winner is. And that winner will get to name the leopard frog. So definitely feel free to participate in this fundraiser. Again, you can do this now through our Facebook post, or you can do it afterward on Facebook. You can donate through our Facebook page to see if you can win the fundraiser. All right, I'm going to turn the camera back around. Okay, so whoops, I readjusted this for the frog. All right, so I think, like I said, I think our frog is wiped out for the day. He's like I mentioned earlier, he's a little bit more shy than our green frog, so he doesn't like being handled as much, and I think he wore himself out. So I'm going to give him a little bit of time here after we get off this live post, to give him some time to relax, and then I'll try feeding him again. He usually eats about 2 to 4 crickets when we feed him. Sometimes he eats more, sometimes he eats less. It just depends on how hungry he is. So I'm going to give him a little bit of time before I try to feed him again. All right, well, unfortunately, like I said, I'm not, oh, wait, you know what? I might be able to see some comments here. Oh, okay, actually, I was able to pull up the comments on another iPad here that I have sitting on, on my table. I'm trying to scroll through to see if I have any questions. Oh, somebody asked if they're poisonous to dogs. So yes, frogs and toads do have glands that have a toxic substance, that have something that can make other animals sick if they try to eat them. So it is important to not let your dog try to eat something like a frog or a toad. I would do whatever you can to keep them from doing that. Sometimes for some animals it's just a bad taste. Sometimes it's not enough to harm them, but then sometimes it can be enough. So best thing to do is just not let them eat that frog or toad. Let's see. Let's see if anybody else has commented with a question. I don't see any other questions at this time. So I think we'll get ready to sign out here. I hope you guys enjoyed meeting our male leopard frog today. I see that 2 people now are participating in the fundraiser to name the leopard frog. So good luck to those of you that are participating and are donating between now and this coming Thursday at noon. I hope to see you guys on Friday at 1 p.m. This Friday I will be talking about white-tailed deer, which is a popular topic here because they are everywhere. We have a lot of them here. They're easy to see. I'm going to be going out over the next few days and getting some videos of them, although I have tons of pictures and videos of them already that I've taken over the years because I love watching the white-tailed deer. And I'll be sharing those with you on Friday so we can learn a little bit more about white-tailed deer. So join us on Friday at 1 p.m. I hope everybody is staying safe and healthy, and I look forward to seeing you all when we reopen again. So I'll see you later this week. Take care. Bye.